America's dog economy is tanking.
Oh no, dog stock is on the decline.
Yes. So America's dog, or well, actually, this any type of like dog pound or humane societies are packed to their
Really?
limit,
Oh, really?
like beyond their limit.
Oh,
So
wow. I didn't
this
know
is
that.
specifically hurting people in the South,
Oh, okay.
southern United States, because these shelters are taking in as many dogs as they can because that's their whole mission is to support and help our furry
Furry
friends.
friends. Yeah.
But the thing is that they can't handle this number of dogs that are coming in.
That is interesting that you say that. Usually or typically from what I hear, it's usually cats that are oversupplied and dog. I don't typically hear dogs, but that is a very interesting. I didn't know that, to be honest.
Yeah. So in this video, we're going to kind of debunk some of the theories that people have thought that maybe, people are returning a lot of pets or people are getting pets and returning them, yada, yada, yada. But come to find out, it's not exactly the case. But we will continue on with that type of information later after I tell you about the fact that some of the shelters have only 65 kennels. 65 spots for dogs to be.
That seems like a lot.
You would think. How many dogs do you think would be inside of a dog shelter with 65 rooms?
There should be 65 dogs for 65 kennels.
You would think.
Oh, that doesn't sound good. Anything higher than one is too high.
195 dogs are at this shelter.
That's 3 times the amount of dogs.
Yes. And dogs need a lot of work to take care of it, especially when they're scared and they some of them are puppies. They all have different needs, and there's only room for 65. So a lot of people are saying that people are returning dogs, and people get them and then they're going to return them, and these pandemic dogs and et cetera, et cetera. Have you heard this concept?
I did hear about the pandemic dogs. I did hear about that where people got dogs during 2020, 2021 for a company, and then later on that they returned their dogs because they're I have to go back to work. Things are picking back up, so a lot of people returned their dogs. I have heard also stories where people adopt a dog and then 2 weeks later they return a dog with similar excuses, like my wife or my spouse, they were allergic to this dog, or we found out that they were allergic, so they have to return the dogs. So
you'd be actually very surprised then. The return rate that some of these humane societies or shelters are seeing is only 2%.
Oh, that's relatively low. Yeah,
2% of dogs are being returned. So this kind of debunks the whole idea that these people are taking the dog and then returning them to the pound. What the actual issue is, and the title of the video, is that the dog economy is down. People are not adopting as much.
That makes sense.
So the figure that was shown is that usually it's about 3,000 dogs per year were going to be, or pets per year, were adopted, and now it's been cut by a third. Now it's only 2,000.
It'd be interesting to see the statistic on cats.
Cats? I mean, that was also a very big thing even before anything.
Oh, really? Oh,
cats typically were the large one, and then it was dogs were a bit easier.
Yeah.
But now I think it's the dogs are taking up a lot more of the room.
The reason I say that it's not surprising is because I think in this economy, to have a dog is really expensive. A dog is an extra expense that most people probably can't afford.
Yes.
And the thing is, they're not really saying it, but it kind of feels like we're in a recession. So to have an extra expense is really hard. So I wonder if it's just within these last 2 years where people have not been adopting that often. But that's my theory.
Yeah. So if you want to hear a bit more, I will continue telling you a bit more after you consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button.
Yes, we put out videos daily. We have a library of over 200 videos covering a variety of topics. And, subscribing doesn't cost you anything. It's free and it only takes a second. And it does really help out the channel. So if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button.
So, for those of you who stayed this long, this is the real, actually, sad part. Do you know the cost of living in the South of the United States? It's much lower.
Yes.
Much lower than the rest of the country. So how do you think the cost of breeding was? Like, how much do you think people are getting paid to breed dogs?
Probably not that much. Thinking about it, if it's cheaper.
Designer dogs.
Oh, designer dogs. Yeah.
If you're breeding dogs, the cost of per dog could be over a month's rent per dog.
Oh, yeah. Some dogs are really expensive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So especially in the South. So a lot of people were moving into doing dog breeding because it was a very profitable
and
kind
lucrative,
of lucrative side hustle to them. And now a lot of these dog breeders are kind of holding the bag. They have all these puppies, but nobody is willing to go and buy them. The less people are trying to buy puppies, and even less people are wanting to adopt a dog, and it's even cheaper. This is like, they're just giving away dogs at this point. They're like, just please, someone take them and give them a home.
Yeah, yeah. And
so if they're unwilling to take these like other puppies for free, like,
yeah, it's sad. It is sad because, yes, like you mentioned, the root problem is that there's a lot of dogs. And why is there a lot of dogs? Only two reasons. It's not like cats, because there's a lot of stray cats and a lot of cats that are neutered. But the thing is that for dogs specifically, it's the breeders and it's the people having people having more dogs, and then they can't. Like
inflation.
That's
dogs.
true. Yes, dogflation. Lots of more dogs, and it's just, I don't know. It's a sad situation because
demand's not keeping up with the amount of dogs.
Yeah, but even more to like a human to dog perspective. Like, you guys were profiting, or the breeders were profiting off of these dogs, and now when they can't profit off it anymore, they're like, to the shelter you go. So it's a sad situation. Personally,
it gets even more sad.
Oh no!
Once I tell you the next part.
Oh well, no! What happens?
So, for those of you who don't know, in the South, a lot of these shelters, sad to say, are kill shelters. So they'll put them down if there's like too many, or like they don't think that they could adopt the dog within a certain amount of time. Like if they're too old, potentially. Or, like if they're a breed that, like they probably won't be able to rehome, they'll have to put them down.
Yeah.
Because they're like, if we put our resources into this dog, then another dog will suffer. Yeah. So they have to like get rid of them because there's so many that are coming in. But that's where a lot of the other humane societies and rescue efforts come from. They go and take these dogs from the South and from other like kill shelters and take them to like other places where there might be more people interested in rescuing dogs and adopting dogs. So that is a silver lining. But I mean, they can't adopt every single one, because even in these places where they're taking them to, there's still the whole issue where the fact that there's less people wanting to adopt a dog. Like, you can't, I mean, how many dogs can you get, really?
Yeah. I think it's a very sad situation on this. And the thing is, too, because it's like, like some people don't know, too, if they, capture a dog outside for whatever reason. And they take it to a shelter, you need to really call the shelter before and ask if it's like one of those shelters, like a kill shelter. Yeah. So it's like, because some people don't know, and because like the assumption is that like, oh, these people are going to try to rehome the dog, but sometimes it's like that's not the case.
It really like I said, it really depends on the type of shelter, the amount of like dogs they have, and then like
3-to-1 cage is insane, by the way.
So that might not be the case. I mean, I went to the shelter recently, and it was like some like kennels had like 2 dogs per, and a lot of the dogs on like the website were actually in foster care. So you had to,
Oh,
if you
like,
wanted to see them, you have to like go and schedule a time to where they can be brought in. So they weren't even at
the shelter
to be seen, because like, you know, it's already overflowing with dogs.
Yeah.
So the last thing is that this whole thing is like coming to the point where they're now trying to figure out how to reach Gen Z. How can they reach you know, a younger generation to like go and pick up a dog and, you know, help out, ease the amount. Because while a lot of people you know, are using their, I mean, like on social media there's a lot of dogs, and like dogs are cool, but like in terms of the responsibility of having a dog, it's like another life.
Yeah, it is.
So, you know, you can't just, you know, take it lightly. So there is also a component of like, do you think that they would be willing to take on the responsibility for this, and to include themselves, like to take care of themselves and another animal?
Yeah, I think it's hard. Hard situation, because the thing is, they don't have any money.
Nobody has
no
money.
one has any
Nobody
money.
has money.
No one in this economy has any money, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a very hard situation for the dogs, a very hard situation for the people, very hard situation for marketing the dogs, and very hard situation.
I mean, I think a lot of the dogs, like, they're all good, like, you know, boys and girls, but like
all dogs go to heaven.
But like at some point, it just there's just not enough people looking. It's like, it might be the best dog in the world, but I mean, if there's no one looking to get a dog at this point, like,
it's true. You know, the thing is too, it's like, I personally like dogs, but I know I don't have the time. And that's, I think, a lot of people's problems, that they don't have the time to take care of a dog. And when people were at home all the time, they were like, oh, I have time for a dog. It's like, this is what, like, I know people who adopted a dog and still have a dog that got it during that time frame because they wanted like companionship. And then it's like, yeah, but for every like one of those stories, there could be others that are like, you know, I had to give my dog away. I don't have any more time because I had to go back to work, or I had to go do other stuff. So yeah, there's a lot. It's a multifaceted situation that's happening.
I feel like, at that point you need to reevaluate your life. And it's like, if you're working so much to the point where you have no time to like relax at that point, you might have to reevaluate your life.
Yeah, that's true. But let us know in the comments down below what you guys think of this. I know it's a little bit sadder on the end of it, but let us know your guys' thoughts, and what you guys think of the state
of the dog economy. I mean,
the dog economy. Yes.
Yeah, the dogflation.